Hello and welcome to Houlihan Chats. I'm Houlihan and I'm chatting with the wonderful, extraordinary, the sensual, the Latina, the African, the beautiful, the wonderful Juanita Euka.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I like your living room.
Thank you. It's this is part of the living. So this is like we have the books on this side and all the dictionaries that we need. All the dictionaries that we need. It's too many languages. And then we have like the family desk at the back with all the pictures of the family. And then the sofa is that way, the TV, it's just a good old living room, nice and chilled. We have all the family dinners here when people come around.
Your lamp is next level.
Yeah, the lamp is a really funky lamp. My sister used to work in where was it? I forgot the name of that store. It will come back to me later, but she used to work in a furniture store and they used to have like these funky lamps. And then that just stayed here. Ever since. You met my sister before, so you know.
Your sister, yes, Violetta.
Violetta, extraordinary.
Yeah. How many languages do you speak?
I speak how many languages? I have to think about them. 4, I think. Yeah, 4.
Which one?
French, Spanish, Lingala, and Anglais. That's 4, right?
French, Spanish, Lingala, and Anglais.
And Anglais, English. I think I speak
Lingala, what is that?
So Lingala is a language that mainly is spoken in Kinshasa, the capital of the Republic Democratic of Congo. So that's the language that people speak there. We do often mix it a lot with the French, and some local people, they can mix it up with the tribe language. So it's like a dialect type of language. It's a language, that is, people speak that in the city of Kinshasa.
Yes, so your family are from Congo originally.
Yes, everyone is from there. We're all from there. All of us.
Kinshasa.
Kinshasa, that's the capital.
Yes.
I've been there, I think twice in my lifetime, maybe, or 3 times, who knows? But I remember going back about 10 years ago for the first time as an adult. And that was exciting. That was a great time to see Kinshasa, to see my family, to see where I'm from. So yeah, that was amazing. It's a great city. Yeah. It's a city like any other city, It's
really they got a big musical culture there because you are a musician and a singer. Mm-hmm. Is that the environment you grew up in?
I'll say yes. I mean, music always been at home, but we, my parents are big music lovers, and also being Argentina, to me, Argentina and being in Buenos Aires, where I grew up, was very, very musical, if that makes sense. There was music everywhere. So to me, it was very easy to get into music. And also on top of that, my dad's cousin was a very, very famous musician called Franco Luambo. He was a guitarist. He had his own band called OK Jazz. So he made a lot of music during his career and a huge catalog of music. So I come from that family. Like, it's not only him. I had other uncles that are into music. So many people in the family that got into it. Not so much my dad. My dad got more into the other side of, of the spectrum, becoming a diplomat and traveling. That's what he wanted to do. But he did grow up with a lot of music at home. So that thing that been transported to me and my siblings. And I think I took it really seriously, basically. But yeah, we're quite a musical family.
So your father took you from Central Africa to Buenos Aires in Argentina. What made him choose that particular place? Because it's such a journey.
Such a journey, I'll say, because when he started his career as a diplomat, he began that this was what before he met my mum. His first travels were in Spain, in Madrid. So he already started to have contacts, and you know what I mean. He had his base in Madrid. So that's when they began dating with my mom, and you know what I mean. They were together, and that came serious, and they got married. They had my brother, then they had me, and then my sister was born later, and my younger brother was born later. So it was so he was already on the card. So it was quite easy for him to go to Argentina because it was a Spanish-speaking country, and he already knew Spanish. So that's how it happened. That's how the story goes. That the connection, I'll say, from where he was in Spain to go to Argentina. So it was something that was there on the cards for him because of his work.
So many people of our younger generations are a sort of synthesis of a couple of cultures, and I find that really interesting aspect of globalization and, you know, the international world. And so you kind of, to me, your musical style sort of epitomizes that experience of a mix of Afro with Latin influences.
Definitely, I would say, because I think the environment does affect you in a way. You get inspired to what it is around you, but also, you know, you also get inspired in things that you want to become or you want to do. Like before, I could see singers like, I don't know, people like Celine Dion or Gloria Stefan. They were bilingual singers. So I knew in a way that what I wanted to do a little bit, you know, with the singing, taking it like being able to sing in a different language. But I think because of the way that I grew up, like at home we'll speak French, because of obviously in the Congo, is our official language because we're colonized by the Belgians, and you know what I mean? That's the connection there. And then you have Lingala, which is the traditional language of Kinshasa. So my parents used to speak that often, so that was spoken at home. And then when I used to go to school, it was Spanish all the time, all my childhood until we arrived to London, which was a new language, a new culture, a new continent. Everything was brand new. So it's been a lot of changes when I was young. And I think that also, you know, you get inspired, or it does affect you or impact you in a way, your environment, because it was changing all the time. And also the music, what I've been listening was always different. It was like different sound. But then when you look at music in general, music all comes from the same place. It's the heart, is creation, is a feeling, an emotion. But obviously the interpretation will be different depending where you are. That's what I think, you know.
Yes. What do you feel you've gained from Argentina specifically, from growing up there?
What I've gained, I don't know. I'll say it was very special growing up in Argentina. Number one, you know, coming from Africa, you know what I mean? Like obviously, being in Argentina, you know, I am an African girl. I have my African family. That was also, you know, that impact of being in another country, you know, being a foreigner and stuff like that, but quickly feeling like you're at home at the same time. I feel like I've been in a diaspora bubble all my life, if that makes sense, like coming from one place but living in another. But that's been happening over and over. So I don't know how to explain that, but it's a very sometimes it's been hard, I'll say, a little bit to try to relate to other people. But at the same time, you know, because I was always, when I was very young, we were in an international school, so people were from everywhere. So I feel like, and also at home, people were from everywhere. So the way that I grew up, my education, what my dad taught us, and me and my brothers and my sister, is, you know, to talk to people from everywhere. There's no, you know, it's very much like love and peace type of thing. So it's been really like special the way that I grew up. And what I take from Argentina is basically the Argentinian culture that's very beautiful. The beliefs, the you know, the weather, the food, the people. That's something that really has stayed with me in my way of being. It has taught me so much about myself, and also about being human in a really beautiful way. And I think Argentinians have a beautiful culture. they're beautiful people. And then sometimes we feel like because somebody's from another country or whatever, that there might be a difference because obviously there's a language barrier, but we have so much in common that those little things are just tiny little things that divide us a little bit. It could be race or, I don't know, sex or religion. But then at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, which is like, it's to be happy, to be loved, to be, and all those things that a human need. But I feel like that's what, I carry through even living here and what I've learned in Argentina, that, it's just a really beautiful culture, and Argentinian people are the coolest people. I'm not just saying because I grew up there, but it's a really cool place.
I'd love to visit there properly. And I suppose I suppose what you've just described is kind of reflected in your music, which I've really appreciated your music. And of course, you've only recently been in Killing Eve.
Yes.
Your debut solo single.
Yes, my debut solo single. So it came out this Friday. It's called Alma Seca.
Y luego dime que me romperás el corazón y lo tirarás desde el balcón, Así miré cuando caiga la luna, cuando nade en la lluvia que me tira y me ahoga. Así miré con lágrimas grises que nublan la mirada y me deja toda sola. Alma seca, alma seca.
Alma seca is it means dry soul. I tried to be quite metaphoric with what I was feeling at the time. It's a heartbreak song tune. It's quite hopeful, and it makes you want to dance. And it's quite like it's got nostalgia. It's got that Afro-Cuban feeling that I wanted to put in the music. Like the Cuban tres is the Cuban guitar, like quite old-fashioned, meeting the new, but having my own interpretation in the music as well.
So you've got a lot of experience of Cuba.
I'll say a tiny bit. With Cuba, you're always learning. I'm always learning, especially when I went there the first time a couple of years ago. There's so much richness, not only in Cuba, but all of Latin America. I began my career singing in an Afro-Peruvian band, singing music from the coast of Lima, which is all the Afro-Peruvian sound, which is like festejos, landos, like different sounds of the Afro-Peruvian music. So there's a huge catalog of sounds in Latin America that it's got a huge influence that came from Africa, obviously, for the transatlantic, slavery that happened. There's that interchange and that legacy, I'll say, of history and how it stayed so strong in some Latin communities in Latin America.
Lima is a very beautiful and mysterious city.
Yeah, I haven't been, but I can see what you mean. Yeah, I haven't been, but I love Peruvian music. I love the people, and I have really good friends from there, but I still need to go. This is crazy. I haven't been there.
Well, they're very unique, and their culture was really rich and interesting and extraordinary and spiritual, and the mountains were so high, and the nature was just like,
it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I
would recommend it. There were a lot of young backpackers there.
Yeah, there are. Like I did see that similarity in Colombia as well. As well, there's loads of travelers that you meet on the way, but there's that element, like what you said, there's not many, like I'll say, like, there's a few communities of what you see, like of the real people. I'll say, real native, native Latin Americans. There's a very tiny community, and everybody else is like mixed with, European, African, and then there's like a new thing there, like, and there's a lot of mixture of that. I feel like
I like that about Latin America. It is a real
there's a lot of beauty.
yes, and it's a real melting pot of
And
culture.
then you see that, even with London, coming to London, there's everybody from everywhere. I think the city of London, also in London, is a special place. It's a special place because you meet people from everywhere. It's also expanding, it's growing, and also you see that even outside of the outside of London a little bit.
In the UK. Yeah,
A little bit, people are also going. I got friends like Congolese people that I know that live in Liverpool.
amazing.
So there you go. I mean, I don't know, but yeah.
We in Ireland, they've got young kids of African heritage who've got really strong Irish accents, and I love that.
It's great. I think it's great. I mean, we do live in a, back in the day, like when my mother was growing up, it was very few African people that traveled at the time. And then you can see the impact of globalization, and you can see the impact of how some countries like my country, the Congo, we really have suffered with dictatorship for a very long time. And then people, living with dictatorship, there's not even basic human rights. People can't live like that. So people tend to move. And then that's what happens with not only my country, but so many other countries, Syria or name it, so many other countries that they do have to move because, it's impossible to live.
Yes, I think that's become a real signature of the modern time, is that we meet people.
Yeah.
But it's been, I guess it's been a historical thing, but London's been based on that for hundreds of years now, and we've got like most languages in the world spoken here, which is a real privilege. But did you find then, coming from Buenos Aires to London, an interesting experience?
Yes, it was. I don't know how to explain it, but everything of it, it's like my world changed upside down. A 14-year-old girl, picture a 14-year-old girl, all I knew was good weather. And people are very different. Like, people are they have a completely different vibe. People are a bit more warmer, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that English people are not warm. I have the bestest of friends that are English, like yourself.
Irish, Scottish.
Yeah. You got it recorded now. Can't go back. But you know what I mean? Like, coming here, it was like the weather, the air, everything, the buildings, the school, my friends, the music. It was a slap on the face, like, hello, new culture, poof. It basically was that, and I don't have any regrets. Obviously, I grew up here, and it's been a great journey. I had I think it was good that I came here. It was quite cool because that was the time when garage music was starting. And I was there, like listening to garage music. And all I remember when we landed in London, all I could see was just Spice Girls. Posters of the Spice Girls. I'm bringing it back to the 90s, like all the...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was massive.
It was that vibe, Spice Girls. And then what else? What other bands were? Five.
All Saints.
Boyzone.
Yeah.
Picture it.
A pretty interesting musical time to come to the UK.
I know. Top of the Pops. It was like proper, like poppy, like I think it was one of the coolest times to come to London and live.
Your stage presence is incredible.
Thank you.
It's really a real joy to watch you, because you embody something on stage, and you are not possessed by something, but you you channel a creative inspiration on stage, and it's wonderful to watch that performance as well as the music. Pleasure.
Thank you. I feel like with that came to when you get into the arts, or you getting into like what we do as performers or singers or actors, is I don't know how to explain it. I think when I began being more comfortable with with movements and things like that, I would say the dancing really has helped. And also, I remember we did a workshop years ago in a college that I used to go called the Weekend Art College, White College, and we used to do it was like a theater course that I was doing, like musical theater, and we did dance, singing, music. We did everything, even acting. I have done some acting. I've done some acting. Yeah, I did. So we did everything. And I remember there was one of the lessons that we did. I think that kind of opened that that magic, I'll say, that happens on stage that many actors and performers we have to do. It's like you do have to use your maximum energy. It's not everyday energy. And we did I think it was a technique from a French school, or it was from a book. I can't remember what it was. It's called du coq. Or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but anyway.
Take your first answer.
Basically, what I took from the workshop that we did, we had to wear a mask. We have to wear a mask, and we had to picture a boat leaving, but using our body or energy of our body without even speaking with the words. So then I knew, and then we had to do that. And I think I was one of the people that got it, that you could imagine and see the boat leaving. And that was really hard to do. And then I realized also in that lesson how important being in the moment, or stage presence, and delivering an emotion or a feeling or anything else. And so those are, I'll say, the little tools that I took with me to really channel that energy on stage, even if it comes to a song, just really go for it and really embody that emotion and really let go, and then discover that there's so many things that might bother me that will come out anyway. Look, but you know what I mean? It's just using all that energy and being in the present, in the moment. It's quite of a technique of what actors do. Yeah. And then I just take that into my singing when I'm singing.
It's
I from the actors.
But it's that, I think it is that French clowning school, le coq.
Yeah, le coq. Voilà, ouais, le coq. But yeah, it's basically that. And I remember the masks are fabulous, because then you have like different emotion with the mask.
Yeah, and
but then your body's saying something, but then your face is like. I think it was a brilliant workshop. It enlightened my mind into see what areas I can go while I'm performing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that is a real school worth pursuing, I think. And of course, you're a solo artist, but you're also in at least one or two bands.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they?
So I would say Water is one of the bands which a lot of things did happen from 9 years ago. It's a long process where I've been with the band with Eliane Correa, which is the band leader. And with her, we do work often. We're really good mates, and she's a great arranger, composer, just a musical genius person. She's just absolutely an amazing musician, which I think with her, the way I worked with her, she became like my mentor, and I've developed a lot, if that makes sense, as a singer with her. And we just, because Wada is like a family, everybody in Wada got their own projects now. It has grown so much. A lot of people were working in Wada have moved on doing things like, we have a saxophone player called Torian who tours with Rudimental, people doing their own thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's been a catalog of a lot of gifted musicians that we've worked with throughout the years. And with Wada, we always continued working. But obviously, Ellie also has her own projects, and Eliane, I call her Ellie, she has her own things as well. So when that began to emerge, I would say I was also developing my own solo stuff, like if I had quiet times where I wasn't gigging much with Wada, then I'll sit down and write. And I got Greg, who used to playing in WADA as well, Greg Sanders, and that's when I began writing my own stuff. And then a few years later, I met Animans when we were launching our own music video at the time, Live to Remain, in 2013, and Animans were opening for us, and we kind of like met, but I didn't get to speak to the boys that much. But I know they messaged me and said, you know, wow, would you like to do a song or something? And that's how it happened, that conversation. It was one song, and I did about 2 songs, and they had different artists and rappers, you know, coming on stage, and it was a great creative experience that I was getting myself into. And then it was very electrifying and very fun. You know, Animans just like a great band and very gifted musicians. And what I like about that, it's got that really punk vibe, Afro-Latin. It's got a lot of rocky stuff. I mean, it's got a lot of another side of music that I haven't explored as much, which I did with WADA. But I think it was quite good for me to do that, to explore my creativity and be able to work with other people and writing, because I didn't do that much with WADA, if that makes sense. But then with Animans, I did. And then obviously with Animans, the project just grew. The songs became like an EP. The EP became an album, and then they got signed with True Thoughts. The project grew, and then at the same time with London Afrobeat Collective, again, I was quite quiet that year. I wasn't having many gigs, and then Alex, the guy who he's the one who initiated the band, and he used to run this amazing venue called The Forge, and there was a lot of like jams happening there every week, amazing Cuban jams, like the best ones. And obviously I was always there. Always there singing. So, you know, he seen me sing, and it was something that very natural. You know, we spoke, and he knew what I could do. And they had a singer called Funke who's really pretty amazing, who carried the band for a few years, and they did an album called Food Chain, which then I had to learn all the material from that album.
Oh wow.
And then we wrote an album together, and I've been touring for the last 4 years with London Afrobeat Collective. So basically then you see that like all the projects just really grew, and then I became so busy with all of them, but in a nice way, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's nice to collaborate as a musician.
Yes. And where do you see yourself going now with this work?
With this work, I feel like I see myself continuing with the projects at the moment. I feel like these projects still need, you know, they all need more exposure, more concerts, and more music to play. I feel like also now that I've signed with Strat Records, so I'm in the middle of writing this album. I feel is that really like all the projects are starting to make sense, if that makes sense. Making sense. That I'm working with various people, but then you can find me, you can hear what I can do, and I think that would be very nice to see. But also, I want to invest a lot of time, you know, getting Congolese music more in the map, getting the Afro-Cuban music, the Latin music, and everything else. Like also all the music that comes out from this amazing city that we live in, to see the variety of it that there is, and I hope that with my peers, and you know, to push that forward as much as we can.
Yes, and I mean you've been traveling quite a lot with in the last few years to different places around Europe and the world, doing music, and I mean it must be a jolt to then suddenly have to stop that schedule with what's been happening now, and now you're in London right now.
I'm in London right now. I'm in East London. Well, it's Essex, isn't it? It's like
live from Essex.
Live from Essex, loves. So yeah, I'm at home, and yeah, it's I would say it's what has happened for everybody. You know what I mean? Everyone's life has changed dramatically, and I would say because, you know, as a musician, as a singer, you know, we're so used to being on the road, you know, and yeah, I could say that's a change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you feel as though things will calm down and you'll be able to travel and feel comfortable again in the coming weeks?
Well, I think as a global unity that we're all going through, it's gonna take a while for things to go back to normal. But I think maybe perhaps next year, we can just go back to be better and stronger. And also I think that it is a bizarre time, but then at the same time you have to take advantage of really, it's a creative moment to be. I'm at home and I'm just taking advantage of that to be creative, to do things and whatever. But at the same time, it is a difficult time because there's a lot of uncertainty, as we know, so it's quite difficult. And also I found out today that another gig got cancelled, so
that's really annoying. But I mean, have you found that you've had inspiration to write and to use the time productively, or do you also find that just the need to just relax and to
yes, I think there's a whole mixture. There are days that I can get really inspired, and there are days where I'm like, I can feel my body like that, as everybody else, like we wake up, we just work like non-stop. And I realize how much even the world, even the buses, the trains, the planes, all of us working every single day. Like even Mother Earth needs a breather. Yeah. So I think it's been nice to slow down. And when you slow down, it's been something nice happens, which your mind is, you can. I had these the other day, there will be times where, ideas will come out and I'll be writing them down, or I'll be recording on my phone. And so I had days that I've been able to capture some ideas, which I want to put in the album. So I think it's not a bad thing, but, it's still also at the same time, we're going through this global issue that you worry about people, you worry about the NHS, you worry about people in, vulnerable people. Yeah. So it's difficult. It's a whole mixture.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a horrible thing, but also it's encouraging a lot of us to stop and reflect and, stop in our tracks. We can't do the comfort things that we used to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so we've had to face ourselves.
And
that's really healing.
That's what it is. You face yourself in every sense as a human, and what we do, like I realized even like because there's nothing else to do, you're thinking, do I need to go to the supermarket? I went to the supermarket the day before. I really don't need to go. But in our mind, there's that think of like, I need to get this, I need to get that, but sometimes you don't really need it.
No.
And I know that's like the consumer in me or whatever, and but those little things, like you start reflecting and starting to see yourself, your feelings, your emotions, what you need. Maybe you got, your legs are hurting, or you need to relax, or you need to just not think that much, or you just need to just be.
Yeah. It's quite meditative, and also it forces us to look at our mortality as well, because anyone can be affected by what's been happening, and it's global. It's that universality about us facing any possibility, in this period. That's what's really raw about it. It feels.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I feel like we are all going through the same motion, I'll say, and I think maybe we needed to go through this. Maybe it was meant to happen.
Yeah.
And sooner or later it was going to happen. We were moving in ways that, especially the past few years, there's been so many activism with climate change and things that are really important that, we just, sometimes politicians are just ignoring it, not taking it really seriously and things like that. And I think that also as humans, we need to get closer to, to nature, to the environment, and really taking care of each other. And maybe I think we have forgotten how to be human. I'm just starting to see that a little bit, because now I feel like when things go back to normal, we might try to make more of an effort, you know what I mean? Or like be kind, or maybe smile at that person that made you coffee, you know what I mean? Or maybe smile to the person that's been working in the supermarket. Or maybe we might change the way we see people, and we're thinking, my God, they are there. If they're not there, how am I going to get my food, or how am I going to eat? So it's like that reflection of how everything around in our world, you know what I mean? It's playing a role for you, and then we need to play that role too and be kind to others. And then I think if we can elevate into that way of like love and respect, we can make so much good, I think.
Do you feel that that is a theme in your music, in your work, in your creativity as well?
Yeah, I think with my creativity, I try to, tap into different feelings. Like it could be a personal feeling, it could be maybe a situation that could affect me or affect the people that I love, or all the places that I'm from. So I do. It's a bit of that. I think I use. I always go with the feeling, with the emotion first, and I think that's how you build a song. And it's the same like a painting. You go with what you're feeling, and then you draw that, you express that, and then that could be a song. Why not? You can make that, and that could be, I don't know, it could be like a novel, or a story. Somebody writes a story, then there's a story there, and there's characters that they have something to say. And I think I try to do that with the music.
Oh, you do? I think that's a really beautiful way of putting it. And I feel very privileged to know you. We met working at the Shard.
At the Shard.
And we would sing on our
sing. I think we did great. I mean, look at it. I think we were quarantining for a very long time. Yeah. And when you think about it, sometimes it's a strange thing, because I feel like maybe we've been quarantining sometimes in our lives, and and then it's like, you know what I mean? Just we need to give more value into the little experiences that we get through life. Like, we were having a great time singing at the end of the day.
Yeah, you make the most of it, and in the interactions you have, and you find inspiration and craziness and eccentricity with all the experiences you have in these very strange, socially engineered situations. No, it was a joy. And I mean, for our audience, would you share your social media? What they should look at?
So I'm really on Facebook.
Yeah, a bit of everything.
Yeah, Facebook. You can find Juanita is spelled like Juan, like Don Juan. It's Juan ITA, Juanita, and then my last name is Euka, EUKA. So if you type it in, I'm on everywhere. I'm on Instagram. Sometimes I tweet, but I share more on Instagram. So in Instagram, Facebook. So yeah.
I'll share some links as well, and also some of your wonderful music videos are so creative, and your performances. Wow.
Oh, to live inside a world away from here, lost at eternity, way back now unclear. I don't know. Darling, other desire, no other. Darling, other desire, no other. Now I've been there. I don't want to come back. No.
I try,
Yes, you do. You paint a picture, my darling.
Pictures. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the wonderful, the beautiful Juanita Euka, and it's such a privilege to have her here. And feel free to follow her, look her up, try and she might not communicate back, or we'll find out.
I'll write out. I mean, if you write to me, I'll write you back.
Yeah. And she's got some great LPs and albums available.
Thank you. Oh,
it's my pleasure, Juanita.
Oh yeah.
Adios.
Adios.
Yes.
Muchísimas gracias to you.
Bonjour. Comment allez-vous?
Bonjour. Ça va bien? Ooh la la. I'm actually a bit hot now, but
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Houlihan, and that was Houlihan Chats.